Hello, this is made by Rix, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this beanie. This is a tutorial for beginners, so if you want to skip some parts, I put all the timestamps in the description. I will also give you measurements for different sizes. You will be needing 2 different colors of yarn. I chose this red and pink merino wool, but acrylic yarn works just as well. This one calls for a size 5 hook. I would go for 100 gram per color, just to be sure. You will also need a yarn needle, scissors, a crochet hook size 5, and a measuring tape. And that's all the materials you will need for today. We'll jump right in and start with our foundation chain. I start with the red color. First you're going to make a slip knot, and to do that you're going to wrap the yarn around your middle and your index finger to form an X, like so. Then you can pull the yarn through the hole and create this loop. You can now insert your hook into the loop and tighten it a little bit so that it is safely secured on your hook, but you still have room to wiggle it up and down. For your foundation chain, you're going to take the yarn in your left hand and wrap it around your index finger twice, like this. Now you can use your middle finger and your thumb to stabilize the workpiece. And now you're going to start pulling the yarn with your hook through the loop like this. I'm going to show you one more time in slow motion. Yarn over, pull through. Be sure not to make it too tight, nor too loose. And this is the trickiest part in the beginning, but you'll get the hang of it. Now you just continue like this. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. This is the length of your beanie from the crown of your head to your eyebrows. And it should look something like this. You can continue until it is around the desired length, and then I'll meet you back here for some pattern work. Now you can take your measuring tape and measure your desired length. Don't forget to add around 4 centimeters for this part right here. Now go ahead and measure your head circumference. If you're crocheting this beanie for someone else, you can also use all the measurements that are provided in my description box. In my case, I'm crocheting this beanie for my 2-year-old niece, and her head circumference is 47 centimeters. In length, I will be aiming for 18 centimeters plus the 4 centimeter brim, which is 22 centimeters. So my foundation chain should be 22 centimeters long. I recommend making the beanie around 2 centimeters tighter than your head circumference, which now equals 45. Because of the ribbed stitching, it will stretch really easily. For a full-size beanie, the head circumference will be around 55 centimeters. Then minus 2, it will equal 53 centimeters. And for the length, I would aim around 24 centimeters plus the 4 centimeter brim, which equals 28 centimeters. So your foundation chain for a full-size beanie should be around 28 centimeters long. Now here comes the little math part. Right now you crocheted the foundation chain right here. And in order to crochet the pattern, we need 4 blocks of color. Red, pink, red, pink. And in order for these blocks of color to have all exactly the same length, we need to calculate using our foundation chain. So my foundation chain is 22 centimeters long. And I needed 36 chains to get to this length. Now note that this number can be totally different for you, depending on the thickness of your yarn and how tight or loose you're crocheting. Now my 36 chains divided by 4 equals 9. So I know that I need 9 stitches of red, 9 pink, 9 red, 9 pink. And I'm going to give one more example. So if you're going to crochet a full-size beanie, you need around 28 centimeters of your foundation chain. For me, that is 48 chains. So you would need to calculate 48 divided by 4, which is 12. So you would need 12 stitches red, 12 pink, 12 red, 12 pink. Now you can go ahead, measure and count your chains and adjust if you need to. So if you have 47, add one more. If you have 49, get rid of one. And then you can calculate your number of stitches for each block. If you're finished with your foundation chain, you're going to chain one more. So in my case, 36 plus 1. Now we move on to our first row. And for that you're going to count the second to last chain. So you're going to skip the last chain that we made. You're going to yarn over and then insert your hook into the second to last chain, so into this V. Then you're going to grab the yarn, pull it through the chain. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. Now yarn over and pull it through all 3 loops. This is called a half double crochet. Now you put 1 half double crochet in every chain. Now that I'm on my 9th stitch, I'm going to switch colors. So you're going to go for a half double crochet, but don't pull through the last 3 loops on the hook. To add a new color, you're going to take the pink yarn on your hook and pull through the 3 loops on your hook. Now pull a little bit on the pink yarn and on the red yarn to tighten this color switch. And then you can wrap the pink yarn around your index finger and use this as your working yarn. But we are going to take the red yarn with us, so it travels within the pink yarn. To do that, we have to make sure that the red yarn stays neatly on top of the row and in between our pink yarn, like this. Now continue making half double crochets with the pink yarn for as many stitches as you calculated before. Make sure to pull on the red yarn just a little bit so that it doesn't crunch up or peek through the pink yarn. Be sure not to pull too tightly, otherwise the beanie might look a little crooked in the end. On the 9th stitch with the pink yarn, I'm going to make a color switch again, just like we did before. Just that now we are going to take the pink yarn with us, so it travels within the red yarn. Now that I'm on the 9th stitch again, I'm going to switch colors to pink. But this time you can drop the red color completely and don't take it along with you for the last block of color here. The reason for this is that we don't need the red on our way back, as we put pink on top of pink and red on top of red. And trust me that this will make sense in our next row. Repeat the half double crochets until you have 4 stitches left. In the last 4 stitches, we will be making slip stitches. A slip stitch looks like this. Insert hook and pull through once and pull through twice. Insert hook and pull through once and twice. Now this will be the top of your beanie, and it will help so that we don't end up with too much fabric here and you don't have any awkward bunches on top of your head. Now you can chain 1 and turn your work. Every row will start like this. We chain 1 and then skip the first chain, inserting the hook into the second chain. This is so that we can get some height and don't end up with a crooked beanie in the end. Now, in order to create this stretchy, ribbed look, we will insert the hook only into the back loop. So into the back loop of this V chain. So skip the first chain and insert your hook into the second chain, starting with the 4 slip stitches. So this is the first slip stitch, and the second only in the back loop. Now you're done with your 4 slip stitches. This is how it looks like. They are way tighter than the half double crochets. And now we're back to our half double crochets for the rest of this row. So for the first color switch, you're going to grab the red yarn and do it just as we did the row before. If you lost track of counting, the rule is half double crochet on top of half double crochet and slip stitch on top of slip stitch. And for the first 5 rows, red always goes on top of red and pink on top of pink. For the last color switch of the second row, we will switch to the red yarn and we can drop the pink yarn again. It can be tricky to find the last stitch sometimes, so just keep on counting to the number of stitches you need in this color. Otherwise, you'll end up with a decreased or increased number of stitches in one row, and your beanie will be crooked or uneven in the end. It should look like this right now with your foundation chain, row 1 and row 2. Now we start row 3. Chain 1, skip the first chain, and half double crochet in every stitch. And the last 4 stitches will be slip stitches. Keep in mind that every uneven numbered row looks like this. Chain 1, skip the first chain, half double crochet in every stitch, and the last 4 stitches are slip stitches. And then you can turn your work. Every even numbered row looks like this. Chain 1, skip 1 chain, start with the 4 slip stitches, and then half double crochet until the end of your row, and turn your work. Now continue like this for row 3, 4 and 5. Row 3 and 5 will be exactly like row 1 and row 4 will be exactly like row 2. And I will meet you back at row 5 at the last color switch. In row 5 you will proceed just as you did in row 3, just that at the last color block you're going to take the red yarn with you. So you're not going to drop it this time. First the half double crochets. And now at the slip stitches, it will be a little tricky. This is how I do it. First you will keep the red yarn behind, just like you do with the half double crochets. And for the next slip stitch, you're going to put the red yarn in front and find the stitch behind the yarn. Now you put it again to the back, find the stitch, make one slip stitch, and again putting it to the front. And now this is a bit tricky to find this one. And you're going for the last slip stitch, just one, and through the last one. Now this is how you take the yarn through the slip stitches. Now you can turn your work, and this is how it looks so far. Now you're going to switch colors in order to create this checkered pattern. So now we put red on top of pink, pink on top of red. That's also why I took along the yarn for the last row. We start row 6 with a color switch, so we're going to chain 1 with the red yarn. Skip the first chain and make 4 slip stitches, and don't forget to take the pink yarn along, as we're going to need it for the next block. And you're going to do it just like we did before. So first the pink yarn to the back, pink yarn to the front, and so on. Now you've reached the half double crochets, and you're just going to continue with the half double crochets until the end of the row. And you're going to switch colors so that pink will be on top of red and red will be on top of pink. So every 5th row you're going to switch the color coordination, and that's how we create this checkered pattern. And now you have all the knowledge and all the stitches you're going to need for the beanie. So you're just going to continue row 1 to 5 for the rest of the beanie. Now continue until you're at your last row, so your head circumference minus 2 centimeters. And I'll meet you back there after the last color switch. After the last color switch, you can cut off the red yarn, but with a little bit of length, so that you can weave it in later. And now you're going to do your last half double crochets for this row. Now if you're at this part of your beanie, you can wrap it around your head and see if it fits. And if it does, we can continue for the last part of this beanie. Now this step is optional. We're going to line the brim to clean up the edges and make it a little bit straighter. You can also skip this part, and I'll meet you back at where I show you how to connect both ends together to form the head shape. To line the brim, we are going to chain 1 and slip stitch along the bottom. Now this can be a little bit tricky to find all the stitches. To keep it stretchy and straight at the same time, I wouldn't put too little slip stitches, nor too many, so that it doesn't flare out at the bottom. I put around 3 slip stitches per 2 rows. Not every stitch we have made here is the same size, but don't be alarmed, this is totally normal. That is due to the fact that we did this one chain at the beginning of our row. And now we can move on to slip stitching the ends together to form the head shape. You're going to fold the head in half like this, with the nice part of the brim looking outside. And since we've slip stitched all the way across, you should be on the side with the foundation chain. First, we'll slip stitch to the very first slip stitch we did along the brim. So insert your hook under that V and then slip stitch both sides together. Then we'll insert the hook into the next stitch of the foundation chain and then go over and insert your hook into the back loop on the other side. Yarn over and pull through and pull through. We'll go to the next stitch and keep slip stitching all the way across. Remember to only use the back loop of the other side. For some parts you might need a bit of extra patience or force, but everything should line up nicely. Now I'll jump to joining the last slip stitches together. Joining these last slip stitches will be a bit trickier as they are much tighter. And here's how your seam should look like now. This is the inside of your beanie. And this is how it should look from the outside. Close the top part, I'll flip it back to the inside of the head. And insert my hook again into this loop. And to fasten it off, I will make one more chain and leave it about this length of yarn. And then I can cut it off. Now we are going to use this yarn to sew the top part together. Now pull the loop and remove your hook like this. Grab your yarn needle and thread the yarn into the needle. We are just going to pull the yarn through the top along the side of the slip stitches, and we are going to skip about every other row, just like this. You're going to do that all the way around this circle. When you reach the start again, you can pull out the needle and pull on your yarn. The hole should close up easily. Pull tight And since our starting tail is right here, we can tie them both together with a double knot. Now if you still end up with a small hole, then you can use the rest of your yarn and go back over the hole with an X stitch, like this. Now tie it again with a double knot. And either cut the yarn here or weave them in later. The last step is to weave in the loose ends of yarn. It is best to do that on the inside of the beanie, so you're going to use your yarn needle and hide the loose ends within your beanie like so, skipping every other stitch or so along the seam. As we always took the second color along, there should be only 2 loose ends now to weave in. When you're done, you can just cut it off. Now flip your beanie and you're all done. And since we did slip stitches on one side, it doesn't bunch up like other beanies. Now here's how it fits on my knees. If you like this tutorial, please like and subscribe for more follow-along tutorials, and comment if you have any questions at all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.